So greetings, welcome. This is the Muse Terpsichore. Terpsichore is another very important muse. They're all equally important. They're all goddesses, the daughters of Zeus and memory, Mnemosyne. Now Terpsichore is traditionally the muse of music and dance. So in this room you will find books on musicology. You'll find a record collection. I'm a great believer in records, as well as CDs, tapes, and musical instruments. So music is sacred to the gods. In the ancient Greek religion, the temples are full of music. Greeks still love music and dance. It's a very important part of village and cultural life. When I was at the World Congress of Philosophy in Athens in 2013, we had music concerts from famous Greek musicians. We know that Pythagoras, the founder of philosophy, was also a musicologist. He measured the mathematics of music. He realized there's a relationship between music and sound and mathematics, and began that discourse, which is really interesting. So we have books here about music as, a sort of mathematical phenomena to do with sound. I've spoken to physicists about this. How exactly can we understand the physics of music at a profound level? That interests me. Pythagoras also used music for healing. He was what we would call a sound therapist. So am I. I think that if you can use chant and song, you can purify and heal people and individuals, and that's why the Druids are also bards. I'm a bard as well as a Druid. I sing myself, I compose, I work with different instruments. I'd love a harp here, but I don't have a harp. We know from the Bible that King David played the harp, and his psalms are also musical chants, sung poems. And we know that the Upanishads, for instance, and the great Vedic scriptures were always sung, chanted. In fact, the word to chant is related to the word enchantment. And enchantment is a magical spell. And essentially music is an attempt to create beauty and harmony and remind the soul of what we're supposed to be doing here on this planet, which is living in harmony with each other, with other souls. Some people speculate that language began as music, so that our ancestors, when they first began to communicate, they would do so with chant. We know that there are some people, for instance in the Canary Islands, that used to use whistling for long distance communication. We know that the drum was one of the very earliest instruments. I'm interested in the history of music, and the drum has been found to be a very ancient instrument. So if you think about the cave people of the Dordogne region, which is not far from here, 20,000 BC, in these deep underground caves with art all around them, flickering lights, they would have been dancing and drumming and chanting and singing to the gods. Well, that's where music came from. It came out of that heartfelt reverence, really. And it still is. I'm a great lover of classical music, so I can go to a classical music concert and it's like you zone into a whole different world. We're listening to one of the great masters, Beethoven or someone. You go on a mental journey, which is something that really only music does. It's like the language of the soul itself, hard to put it into words afterwards. And I learned to play the piano thanks to my parents who made me have lessons, and I'll thank them for the rest of my life, because they've also discovered in education that if you do music, you're better at other subjects, things like maths and things that seem difficult, because music kind of tunes up the neurons to make connections, because music involves sound, dexterity, manual dexterity, tonality, rhythm. It's an interdimensional phenomena, and so it's interesting. The word music comes from the Muses. All knowledge is really a form of music, is what we learn from that. And in this Musée des Muses, We honour all the muses and all the musics of the world. So I have records and tapes and CDs of world music. I'm a lover of Arabic music, of the poetry of Hindu music, the sitar, and Tibetan music. I have some wonderful Tibetan music, and all the different classical traditions, and also all the modern music that's been made, the world music, the blues, the rock, the incredible musicians around on the planet. I'm a great lover of them all. Let's make music and harmony instead of war. So I'm a supporter of all the musicians that use their skills, like U2 and other great groups. I was there at Live Aid when, in the 1980s, there was this wonderful idea of having a simultaneous music concert in different venues around the world, which was all filmed. Bob Geldof organised that. He later got an honorary degree from my university, the University of London, for doing that. And it gave me the idea for education aid. I want to organise simultaneous educational events around the world in universities and schools, one day a year. The 1st of March, which is tomorrow, I'd like all the education ministers of the world to agree all kids and students have the day off, but they go into their schools and universities and it's a fundraising day. So they do lectures, talks, read-ins. They have a posh dinner in the evening for the alumni of Harvard University, everyone paying $10,000 a plate or whatever, or Oxford, or London University. And we raise all that. We could raise billions, just like Live Aid did, through education, and it would all go back to education. So it'd go back to countries which can't afford schooling. It would go back to put the roofs on schools that it's falling down, to buy textbooks in countries where they can't afford them, or in war-torn zones, because I think education is the answer. So anyway, Live Aid gave me the idea for education aid, and we could have concerts going on in schools. Schools and colleges and universities could be the venue. So that's the project. Thank you, Bob Geldof, for your Live Aid. Education aid lives on, and thank you, Muses, for inspiring us. Anyway, have a look around. You'll find lots of different things to do with music here. And if you see this sign, the Castle of the Muses, over there, that came from Scotland, where we had a much larger music room. We had a great hall, and we had dancing and concerts. This is also the Muse of Dance. I'm hoping to buy a field and build a yurt and have space for dance here as well. We have some room in the great hall downstairs, but it's not as much as one would like. And maybe before you leave this room, have a look out the back window at the fields and the countryside, so you know what's happening locally. It's a beautiful view from this room of the local fields and woods all around here, beautiful walks, and I hope you'll come and visit someday.